Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day Top 5 with me, Frank 5. Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip, one of the most historic tracks that we go to every single year. Side-by-side action, beating and banging, tempers flaring, short track Saturday night under the lights in Martinsville. This time around, kind of an anticlimactic race, but complete dominance by one of the most historic race teams that has a history at this track, and we get our first repeat winner of the season in a number that is pretty well known for winning races here at this track. Let's talk about our first short track Saturday night race of the season. Number 1, William Byron and the 24 team emerged victorious, dominating this race. One of the dominators, I should say, dominating this race and holding off challenges on the late race restart to win the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 400 at Martinsville Speedway, holding off Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain for his second win of the season. William Byron, very strong the entire week. Leading up to this race, on Thursday, he ran the truck race for Spire Motorsports, a team that's new to the truck series, getting their feet wet. They're running part-time. They ran a couple weeks ago at COTA with Alex Bowman, nearly won the race but didn't win it. But he was lucky to get in this race with qualifying being rained out and being among the highest drivers, trucks and owners points to be in the race. And William Byron ran that race, came from 32nd to win the race based off of track position shuffling for the most part, but also having a very fast race truck. And that helped build his confidence for Saturday night. And in practice and qualifying on Friday, very strong race car, good in the long runs, really good in qualifying, ran top 5 the entire race, and played second fiddle the first 2 stages to his teammate Chase Elliott, but gave him a couple of runs towards the end of those stages to try to steal those bonus points away from him. Couldn't do it, but at the beginning of the final stage, when everybody made their pit stops, William Byron beat his teammate off of pit road and held the lead for the majority of the race. No, not the majority, the rest of the race. Now, they did have green flag pit stops in the middle of the race, which I'll talk about a little bit of that later, but Byron was so strong. He'd get up to nice big 3 to 4 second leads on second place. Then he faced a couple challenges late when the run started to kick in, and the other guys on long runs were a little bit better than him. But then pit cautions came, and he was able to hold his track position, and it looked like he was going to run away with the win completely in dominating fashion. Then a late race caution came out when Todd Gilliland hit the wall in turn 4, which set up a green-white checkered result. But even on that restart, Byron held his ground and didn't look back. He held off and was able to score his second win of the season, the first multi-win season for William Byron. The previous 2 years, he won at least 1 race. Now he has 2. And I said this a couple weeks ago when he won Atlanta. It's only a matter of time before William Byron and Rudy Fugle put together a multi-win season, and they got it done. And this combo, there's something special about this combo that nobody, I think, talks about. Everyone talks about how great Kyle Busch is, no matter who you pair him with. Now it's Ben Bayshore. Martin Truex Jr. and James Small are good chemistry. Denny Hamlin and Chris Gabehart. Chase Elliott with Alan Gustafson. Kyle Larson with Cliff Daniels. Even Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers. And Joey Logano now with Paul Wolfe. Ryan Blaney now, even though it's a new crew chief, Jonathan Hasler, but still a good crew chief. Nobody talks about William Byron and Rudy Fugle, but those guys have had great chemistry ever since they worked together at KBM in 2016 when he was in the Truck Series. They won the most races. They didn't make the championship 4, but they were still dominant. And ever since they paired together last year, they've just hit it out. They've run better, a lot better than his rookie year. They keep getting better every single year. And yesterday, he showed it. And it was a big win for William Byron, not only to get his second grandfather clock of the weekend, but it was a big moment for him as far as his family. I learned the story watching the race last night that William Byron's mom, a year ago, had a health scare where she actually was diagnosed with a brain tumor, brain cancer, basically. But she has a clean bill of health now, and she was at the race last night and cheered on her boy winning the race. It was a very special mother-son moment to see her son win the race and embrace at the checkered flag on the stage on the front stretch. How can you not cry? I mean, I'm not emotional, but it's a special moment for a mother and son to celebrate a very special moment. And it was a big win for William Byron. And I kind of got a feeling he's emerging maybe as the favorite within Hendrick Motorsports and maybe in general to win this championship this year. He will win a championship one day, mark my words. And it could be this year. If he keeps this up, he'll continue to keep winning races and being competitive and maybe being a part of the championship 4 come November. Well, it's a long ways to go, but so far, off to a great start. So big win for the 24 team and William Byron. The first win for the 24 at Martinsville since Jeff Gordon's big win in his final full-time season in 2015 on the lights. That was a big night for not only him, but for NASCAR. And last night was a big win for William Byron. Number 2, Joey Logano Still looking for that first win of the season, but very good race car last night. Really good in the long runs. All the Penske cars really good last night. Hendrick probably didn't get the finish that his other teammates did, but Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, very good in the long runs, and they seem to have the speed to catch up to those Hendrick guys. They played havoc with those guys pretty much the final stage, trying to be in part of the equation. And on that final restart, when Logano took the top, I felt like, he's going to try to get aggressive and be on the door of that 24 car. He was going into turn one, but then Byron got a great launch off the corner, and Joey just tried to stay with him. And I felt like if Joey was a little closer to William Byron's back bumper at turn three in the last lap, you would have seen the same thing that happened with Joey and Martin Truex Jr. in the fall race in 2018. A bump and run and move and maybe a drag race, side-by-side door slamming for the win. We probably would have seen that, but it didn't happen. But nonetheless, a great night for the 22 team and Joey Logano, coming off, a pretty good run at Richmond last week. Not the best run at Coda, but the speed's definitely there within the 22 team. They'll put it together and they'll get to victory lane eventually soon. But at the moment, they have to settle for second place, but at least the speed's there, and it shows them, like the 24, that they're going to be a team to watch when we come back here in late October, early November, whenever the fall race is, and we possibly could see those guys battling out for a spot, trying to make it to the championship four. So, a great night for the 22 team and Joey Logano. Number 3, Austin Dillon, a third place at Martinsville. Did we see this coming? The last couple of races, Austin Dillon's actually finished in the top 10 and gained a lot of points towards the bubble, and actually is 16th in points right now as we stand. And last night, he started in the middle of the pack, but started methodically working his way to the front of the field and started having a really good race car in the long runs. And Clint Boyer took first notice of this, how strong that 3 car was, and he was strong last night. This was one of the best races we've seen from Austin Dillon in quite a while, and last night also was the first time in his entire professional NASCAR career that he's ran the most laps inside the top 5, which doesn't include a super speedway, doesn't include some of his short wins that he's had, like the Coca-Cola 600 on fuel mileage, or the Texas race where he barely held off Tyler Reddick, his teammate, and the rest of the field for the victory, and a win that nobody saw coming, but they played the strategy right. But last night, they had a great race car, and it looked like they could also keep up with the 22 and the 24, and could maybe make a move if they had the car and pretty much, the luck to get it done in the end. Tried to get on that last restart, couldn't do it. He was a little upset getting outside the race car, but nonetheless, a great night for the 3 team. I think him broadcasting the Xfinity race Friday night kind of helped him, but the 3 team definitely is getting some momentum going with these nice runs and building some momentum. It was a great run for them. Same can't be said about their team at Tyler Reddick. They did not really run well last night, which puzzles me how good they've been this year. I'm surprised that they didn't show up at all last night. They kind of got to the top 10 late, but they slipped back to, I think, 18th place. Not the best night for Reddick, but the 3-car Austin Dillon, very surprised, and they deserve a big attaboy for a great run last night. Number 4, Chase Elliott started on the pole and looked to be the best car from practice. They dominated the first 2 stages, leading all those laps, and because he led all those laps, Hendrick Motorsports became the first NASCAR team to lead over 10,000 laps at a single racetrack. And at Martinsville, you're not surprised by that with how rich their history is. Elliott looked like he had the best car last night, leading out front, even though he had challenges late with William Byron, especially when they ran into lap traffic. The 9 car was definitely strong, but as I mentioned, on the pit stop to start the final stage, Elliott got out behind William Byron and lost his advantage being in the cleaner air when they don't get into traffic and get stuck behind those guys. But he had to work his brakes a little harder, had to work his tires a little harder, and then he started to slip back. And when we had green flag pit stops, he was able to stay in the top 10, but then when the caution came out, they decided to come in and pit, but they really were not able to work their way back through the field. They could only get up to 10th, and then we had the late race restart. They restarted 8th, and they settled for a 10th place finish. It's still a good result. The speed was definitely there, which they got to be proud of. And they had a race-winning car. It's just they needed the track position. And the tires, fall off in the beginning of the final stage where they lost a lot of spots to the other guys like Logano, Blaney, and Austin Dillon. It kind of hurt their chances to be in contention for the win. And I know I've seen a lot on social media about the Elliott fans saying, fire Alan Gustafson, fire Alan Gustafson. That was not Alan Gustafson's fault. Listen, race teams and the driver, crew chief, and the pit crew, you win and lose as a race team. And last night, they had the car. It's just the tire fall off, I think, was a big problem. Not just with him, but with some other guys. So don't point the finger at Alan Gustafson, Elliott fans. Pump the brakes. They have had the speed. They're still running well. They're the point leader again. They have the speed. They're going to get to victory lane soon. Everybody's saying, oh, 24, 5, 48, they've all won. They're all way better than Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott has, Byron's win helped him last night, but Elliott has, I think, the best average finish of the Hendrick cars right now, and probably, I think, top 5 of average finish of all the Cup drivers so far. So the speed and the results are definitely there. They just got to put it together for the result that matters the most. It will happen. Just relax. They had speed last night. They didn't have the result that they'd hoped for, but it's still a good result for the team. And number 5, the racing at Martinsville with the next-gen car. I'm going to admit, I was a little disappointed by last night. And people on social media, again, are claiming the next-gen car ruined racing at Martinsville. No, it did not. First of all, it's the first time there. It's the first time with this next-gen car under the lights at a short track. And the tire fall off was definitely a problem, I think. There was, tire fall off. It was tough to pass. A lot of drivers said it's really hard to pass out here. And they weren't wrong. There was not a lot of passing last night unless if the leaders ran into lap traffic. They could kind of pass them pretty easily. And sometimes they face challenges for guys trying to stay on the lead lap or at least try to hold being a one lap down in case they were to take the wave around. But it was a challenge last night for these guys. But this probably will not be the same with this race come the fall when we're deciding which drivers will make the championship for. I think it's going to be a little better. It'll be in the daytime. It'll probably finish under the lights, but I think we're going to have a little bit of a better race when we come back here in the fall. And the drivers and teams, I think, are going to look back on this race and think about, okay, what can we do? It's not this next-gen car, people saying, oh, it's a bust at the short tracks. No, it's not. Just take it easy. It's still experiment time for these guys and these teams with this new car and a short track. The big tracks this year have been very fun with this car. Short tracks, a little bit of a slow start, but it will all get figured out. That's what experimenting with these races in the early stages of this season at these tracks that we go to, sometimes twice a year when we come back the second time, I think we'll learn some things and have some better racing. So just relax. We're going to figure out this next-gen car. And the finish last night with the guys battling out for position and some guys at the back of the pack decided to take some fresh tires and make a couple positions up to the front, at least get good finishes like Kyle Busch did. In the bump and runs, you're going to see these guys get aggressive when we come back here in the fall when it matters the most. But it was kind of the first subpar race of the season. I'm not going to say it was awful. It was not one of the best Martinsville races that we've had. It was the 2019 spring race was kind of a meh race, and that last night was kind of a meh, below average race. But it's, again, not every race can be perfect. There are going to be good races, there are going to be mediocre races, and then there are going to be races that we're not worth watching. But you just never know. But we'll have a better race, I think, come here in the fall. One more thing I want to talk about was what happened Friday night in the Xfinity race. First of all, congratulations to Brandon Jones and the 19 team, their first win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series since 2020. He ran pretty well on Friday night, won a stage, came from deep in the field to get up on the last restart and beat his teammate on the last lap to get the victory and lock himself into the playoffs, which we kind of thought Brandon Jones was going to lock himself in the playoffs. But the big storyline was what happened behind him. So Ty Gibbs, who had been in the news the last couple of weeks last week with how he raced John Hunter Nemechek for the win last week at Richmond, kind of moving about of the groove to win it. Well, he had the dominant car Friday night, but on the late race restart, he got pushed out of the groove by his teammate, and then coming to the checkered flag from behind, Sam Mayer, who's racing Ty Gibbs for the Dash for Cash because they were both eligible for that event, he slammed him up into the wall. Mayer got a top 5 while Ty Gibbs settled for an 8th place finish. But Ty Gibbs was not happy with Sam Mayer. He bumped into his car on the cooldown lap and on pit road. Sam Mayer climbed out of his car, went over to talk to Ty Gibbs without his helmet on. But Ty Gibbs kept his helmet on. And then they started yelling at each other. And then they started shoving and going fisticuffs, which everybody loves fights, and there was booing, and the booing was directed at Ty Gibbs. Why? Because of, how he raced John Hunter Nemechek last week, and because you didn't take your helmet off. Buddy, if you want to be a tough guy and show the other guy, hey, you put me in the wrong there, you did this, you did that, take off your helmet. You look kind of like a baby and a coward, keeping your helmet on. You can kind of compare this in ways to what happened to Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick at Bristol last year. Elliott took off his helmet and was talking to Harvick. I don't think Harvick took off his helmet at all when they had that little argument in post-race. So buddy, if you want to be a tough guy and show like those NASCAR fans, hey, I can be tough and I'm not going to take crap from Sam Mayer, do it, but take your helmet off. It's just ridiculous. I'm on Sam Mayer's side for this one because he was the man that got out and say, I'm not taking your crap, buddy, with his helmet off. That's a man right there. Ty Gibbs did not act like a man, and he needs to be better than that. And these incidents are going to come back to bite him down the road if he has the same problem. He will take his helmet off maybe then. But, buddy, man up and just go fisticuffs without your helmet on. That's all I got to say about that. But great drama for our Friday night short track action. That was pretty fun. So this upcoming Sunday is Easter Sunday. But NASCAR is not off this week. They are in action at Bristol Motor Speedway next Sunday night. Sunday at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Bristol Dirt Race. We ran this race a year ago in the daytime, and it was postponed to Monday because we had weather. This time around, hopefully the weather's good, and it'll be under the lights, which I'm very excited for. I think it's going to be a fun race. And the other good thing about this upcoming Sunday's race, just announced last night, joining Mike Joy and Clint Boyer in the booth to call the race, none other than NASCAR Hall of Famer and 12-time Bristol winner and old face of Fox, DW, Darrell Waltrip is back in the booth, and I can't tell you how happy I am. First of all, you picked the perfect guy and a perfect place for him to come back out of retirement because he retired from this after the 2019 season of Fox's portion of the year, but also made a brief appearance at the Bristol All-Star Race in 2020, what Fox did, and got to say boogity, boogity, boogity when they went green. We're going to hear that again come the green flag for the 250-lap, 500-kilometer event. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to hear old DW being up in the booth. He and Clint Boyer are gonna have a ball together. But I think DW can still bring great insight, even though it's dirt, and he may have experienced this in his early driving days. I forget. But DW in the booth with Clint Boyer, Mike Joy, is going to be a lot of fun to listen to, and the perfect way to spend Easter Sunday than watching guys race in the dirt at Bristol. It's going to be fun. So, big question is next week, will William Byron continue this momentum with the win that he had last night and carry to next Sunday? Will Joey Logano repeat his dirt win from a year ago? Or will our dirt stars, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe, be up at the front battling it out for the win? All unknowns, but I'm looking forward to this race. Next Sunday night's going to be a hoot and a half. So subscribe, like, y'all have a great week. Congratulations again to William Byron and the 24 team on their big win last night at Martinsville. Hope you guys have a great week. Have a blessed and safe week. Let's go racing!